Okay, this is a plate off one of my early units. Ignore these parts at the moment. If you notice, what I've got is 2, 4, 6 holes. I don't have top and bottom holes or any in-betweens. When I tighten a bolt up, there's the force that's going out for the bolt. If I put a washer on it, I can extend that force. A square washer or a round washer. But that's basically the area of force that you're extending for the compression of the bolt. We're dealing with compressive forces here. Nevertheless, if I take this and I now put a bar across it like this, my compressive forces in a bar now extend like this. You following me? It's perfectly simple. So what I've got is a situation like this. I get away with 6 bolts. I get the best seal that you're ever going to get. I didn't even tighten these totally up. I don't ratchet them up. I don't torque them at all. There's no torque involved at all. I never get a leak. I've never. Okay, this is my original T34, and you can see that it counts out to 24 bolt holes all around. Now this 24 bolt holes I've brought down to, by using the bars. I've got black marker here showing you where the bars are. 1 bar, short bar, long bar, short, 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 long. I brought that down to 11 instead of 24. So I'm only drilling 11 drill holes. I'm only using 11 bolts. I'm getting a far superior seal, without a doubt. And at the end of the day, if I'm going to do any maintenance, I've only got 11 holes to come out and 11 bolts to go back. So now if we go into the second conundrum box, EEC and bridle, they're fairly straightforward. I mean, there's absolutely nothing in them. Okay, basically what I've got's EECs, they're easy electrical connections. You can see here that you get the different ones that you'll probably know quite well, these nuts, and connecting them like this. This is one of these old units out of the T34. These drive you mad. They're the best, obviously. You know, you can't beat a nut in a bolt when it comes to connecting stuff up, but they drive you absolutely to distraction. An easier way, as you see on this set of plates I had here, is the bayonet cap. Problem with the bayonet cap is they work loose and you get burning on them and things like that. So I got put off them. So you've got the cost of doing it and getting it cut, and you've got the cost, you end up going for the really good quality fixings, because anything less just ends up like this. So the ideal situation is having the ease of this, so it comes on and off no problem, but the security of having a nut and a bolt. So what I actually designed for myself was these EECs, these electrical connections, and this is my new unit. And we can see here that basically what I've done is I've sacrificed a bit of plate, and I've just made these connection plates larger, just slightly larger here. And what I've got is a drilled hole here, if we look at them, and the corresponding one's a smaller one, and I use these. It's basically like a bit and a bridle out of a horse's mouth, and it just slides right in there, and you'll see that they're slightly at a slant, so when it slides in it tightens up, and all you're doing, you've got complete access to it. You get your nut and your bolt, and you just tighten them up onto the corresponding plate. The other one runs through, insulated, runs through the larger hole. So you've got your larger hole, smaller hole where you tighten, larger hole, smaller hole, and you can have these in and out within 5 minutes. You know, I'm using 4 on this unit, and this is at the side of the unit. But you know, if you were actually doing them and wanting to do them at the top, there's no reason at all why you couldn't use the same method up here and just have your hole slanting in up here. You're going to sacrifice a small area, you know, but this also doubles up, because basically, if you notice my unit, these are dead easy to use, Vox. They really are so simple, and you know, in comparison with all the rest, you've got the security, the nut and the bolt, and the absolute easiness of pulling it apart. I can have this stripped down in 5 minutes. By using these bars, by the way, like this, you know, I can actually make my gasket much thinner than the older gaskets. The older gaskets were much thicker, you know, wider. Maybe just take a quick peek at one here. You can see the difference, eh? They were much wider. You can actually make them really thin. Well, not thin, not so broad, if that's the right word, because you're concentrating right on top of the gasket. But I digress. Anyway, back to this for a minute. These are so easy to work with, and if I was yourself with the units that you're building, I would put it up the top, and if you just bear with me a second, you can see what I mean there now. It's quite hard to hold it and do it, but I've got 4 on the side, 2 positive and 2 negative, but you could just as easily have 2. And you are sacrificing a little bit of plate, but I've also sacrificed a little bit of plate in the top here. And if you notice, between where my gasket sits and the top of the plate, I've got about 15mm of just bare plate. Let me get this down for a minute and I'll show you. So there's my flat unit, and this is how I've got it fixed up, eh? And I'm just going to remove this for a minute and put it over here. So you can see that I've got this space up the top here, okay, and it's interspersed by the thickness of the gasket. This is so, just put that back down. Your heat obviously rises through the unit, and you know, this is your heat affected zone here, dead centre. That's where all your action's basically going on. This is where you're going to create your heat, right here, and I'll come to that in a minute, but that's where you're going to create your heat. So your heat's obviously going to rise. All you need to do is put a fan on the top, and it's the same as any fin fan in a refinery or anything else of that nature, or even an engine, a 2-stroke engine is doing the exact same as a 2-stroke engine. You fan up the top, and you can put a cowling round about it, which I have done, and it just guides the air down through here. It gives you a complete cold zone, so this becomes a cold zone, ambient with whatever your atmospheric temperature is, and your heat rises to it. It's rising anyway, you're just working with the unit, and this just keeps your unit cool. And I reckon, you know, it can, in a half decent cowling, not dead. Don't put your fan down on it like, let me just show you one of the fans I use here. Don't put your fan down on it tight. You know, I have my fan situated over here, so I'm blowing down through here, and the air also blows across here, but I've got maybe a couple of inches of distance sitting above it, you know, just a bit of distance, because if you've got it flat down, it doesn't actually distribute the air well enough. So have it standing off, have it off a wee bit, and just build a cowling, dead easy. Just do a bit of 2mm acrylic or something. But that's what these are, fin fans, so it distributes the heat, and it really does work, believe me. The next thing I'm going to sort of say to you is maybe a wee bit strange for most folks, but I was working with these cones for a while, and I read a few things in a German university. I got an English transcript here, and they were doing stuff with cones, and I messed about with different shapes and different angles on the cones. But basically the scenario being that the cone angle actually helps the bubble come off easier. The bubble doesn't stay on attached to the plate quite so readily as it does with a straight plate, if you know what I mean. If you take a straight plate here, the bubble will stay on it more readily because it's got a bigger footprint, whereas with the cones it's not got such a big footprint because of the angle of the cone. Now, I'm not suggesting you go to cones, but what I did find was when I'm running my units that this is something you can do straight away. Instead of installing your unit like this, because if I remember rightly, Manila around the coast is quite flat. I was there years ago. I was joining a ship in Australia and we stopped there for fuel. Anyway, instead of installing your unit like that in the car, straight up and down, install it, just try it out, because I was running at 6 amps and it dropped to 5 amps, so that's 1/6. I don't know how it's going to balance out with higher amps and things, you just need to try it. But if you install your unit to sit at an angle of 38 degrees or thereabouts, you need to mess with it. Depends on obviously the thickness of your unit as well, you know, how you're going to sort of negotiate that. But if I were you, I would definitely install the unit at an angle. Play with the angles, you'll find that, you know, I'm no far wrong on this. Definitely save you amps. For the same gas output, I dropped a full amp. I didn't have the equipment to see how many volts I would drop, but I think there was a distinct drop in volts. Not be much right enough, but try this, what I'm saying. Install your unit at an angle, and just test that, because I think you'll find you'll get a similar result to what I got. And these are things that you can do right now, you know, and in the future, if you're going to do a build, your next plate, just move these if you want up to the top, and in that way you've got the extra plate and you've got the fin fan and the cooling, the air fan cooling, all in the one place, and it really does work. You'll find it really does work. And cool the terminals down with a fan, you know, wherever your connections are, cool them down with a fan, and it works. Okay, I'm going to end quickly by showing you some here, for some of you guys. See, these are ideal connectors. They come in 3 different sizes. They're pre-drilled. You can actually, they're stainless steel 316. They're about 50 pence each. You can drill them, cut them, and like I say, they're stainless. They make ideal brackets for in any wet unit, and they also make ideal brackets for, you know, bolting the cell into the car, you know, into the engine bay. You get the long ones and the short ones. What they are is between brick walls where you have the airspace. These are used in the bricks to tie the two brick walls together. They're available in any builder's yard for about 50 or 60 pence each.